And we are going to be in the book of Jonah again. We've been working our way through the book of Jonah. We've seen in chapter 1, there are some great things about the book of Jonah. And just the story that it has for us. I mean, you've heard of the story of Jonah. It's a children's church thing. They have nursery stuff for Jonah. All these Old Testament stories, you see all these pretty little things. And I remember as a kid seeing the little cartoon of this little guy sitting in this big humpback well. He had a little candle and he's sitting at a makeshift table and just waiting, I guess. That wasn't the picture. Jonah was running from God. He was called to go and bring a message to the people of Nineveh, and he did not like the people of Nineveh. It would be like asking somebody in Israel right now to go and preach in Iran. To go and tell Iran, hey, God can change it. How many that story ain't going to last long? You know what they used to do in Nineveh to the Jewish people? They would stick them up on stakes around the city walls. They weren't real powerful people, but they were real mean people. And they wanted you to know it. They wanted you to fear them. They wanted you to recognize them, respect them, their power and their authority. And that's the way they ruled. They were a thorn in Israel's side. This was their number one enemy at the time. And here Jonah's called to go and preach to these people. And he doesn't want to do it. Because what he's afraid of, he's afraid he's going to get there, he's going to bring this message of destruction. Whatever message God has him to bring, you'll see in a minute, he doesn't even know what the message is yet. He's called to go and just to preach to these people. He gets there. He doesn't want to do it. He's afraid if I go, they're going to change. They're going to repent, and God's going to accept them. And all this anger that I have inside has just got to be just dealt with. And I don't want to deal with my anger. I want to see them suffer. So he runs, gets on the boat, gets out in the water. The storm hits. And the first great I want you to remember is the great storm. A great wind that came against them. A great storm that began to shake them. And through the process of trying to figure out what is happening, they end up taking Jonah and throwing him overboard. But as we see at the end of chapter 1, as we talked about last week, God prepared a great fish. And what seemed like hell to him, well, he's in this fish and he's crying out to God, and he thinks, I'm dead. It's over. I'm calling out to you from Sheol, from the grave. But how many of you know you can never be too far for God to hear? When you call out, his ear is bent to you. He's leaning down. He's just waiting for you just to say help. And he shows up. And he had this fish prepared. And then we get to the end of chapter 2, 2 and 10, and it says, the fish vomits him up. Isn't this a beautiful picture? Think of the grace involved here, of all the fish digestive juices that must have been just surrounding this guy. How he must have smelled. I mean, you got to imagine, it had to be pretty funky, because stomach acids in a fish are designed to digest. I kind of imagine him coming out all just crazy looking, half his hair eaten off, and, he's just like, hey, everybody, pops up on the shore, and everybody's like, oh, did that just happen? And here's this guy all slimy, and he stands up, I got to go do something. Wiping the slime off of his face, and that's where we're getting to at this beautiful picture. And this is where we're going to be at in chapter 3. So I would invite you to turn to Jonah chapter 3 with me this morning. beginning in verse 1, it says, "Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time." Aren't you glad for second chances? Aren't you glad that God doesn't give up on you? That even though you've been acting like a fool, you've been wrecking yourself, you've been wrecking your family, all the turmoil, the trouble that you've brought upon yourself, God comes again. I mean, how many of us have been running from something, running from God, and we think it's too late? Well, I want to tell you, this guy it got so bad, he's thrown overboard, he's eaten by a fish, he thinks he's dead, and God still doesn't give up. What did the song say that we sang earlier? He won't relent till he has it all. And he's willing to let you get eaten by a few things. He's willing to let you be shaken. He's willing to, because he doesn't give up. Isn't that awesome? He doesn't give up. The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Go to the great city of Nineveh and proclaim to it the message I give you. Your third great there, the great city. The great city. He was told this same thing in chapter 1. At the beginning of chapter 1, he's told, go to Nineveh. So many of us, we've heard from God. God's called us to do something. If he hasn't told you what to do yet, start listening to him. Get to a place in your life where you stop just complaining to God and you start finding that place where you can just be still and listen to God and let him begin to give you a word. And if that doesn't work for you, hey, this Bible right here, it's full of it. I even highlighted some. It's full of it. What has God told you to do in your life that you've been running from, that you've been trying to escape, and now you're sitting here going, I just wish God would tell me something? When he's already told you, you just didn't listen. We want new revelation. We want something exciting. We want fire to shoot from our fingernails and lightning bolts from our toes and God's name to be proclaimed right next to ours. And we've got this great mission that we wish we could accomplish. And God won't bless it and God won't honor it because you're not doing the thing that he's called you to do, the thing he's already asked you to do. And now you're waiting for something new, like, I ain't gonna listen to that. My son likes to play Minecraft. And he'll come up with the iPad and he'll say, can you unlock the iPad, Dad? And, well, have you done the thing I asked you to do? You know, I asked you to get your underwear out of the kitchen, out of the floor in the kitchen, Lou. And okay, it ain't that bad. But the things we ask our children to do and they won't do it, and then they come up with something else. Hey, can I do this? Well, you haven't done that yet. So I don't think I want to do this yet. No, I will not unlock the iPad. I even went so far as to, Amy changed the iPad combination so I don't have to unlock the dumb thing anymore. But until you do that first thing, until you do the first thing that he's asked you to do, what has he asked you to do? Where are you at in your walk? Why are you waiting for a new word when he's already given you one? The word doesn't change. His command doesn't change. The call of God is without repentance. He brings it to you. So act on the thing that he's brought to you. He was told, go to the great city of Nineveh. Now, why would God call it great? Because it was so big. Is it really that big to God? I mean, this was a major metropolis of their day with estimated 1,500 towers around this city, each 200 feet high. They had chariot races on its walls. This was a major, major city. But that's not why he called it great. It is great. It is a big city, but he's calling it great because even though it's full of wickedness, God still sees something there. He still sees something in these people that they will listen, they will hear the message, they'll respond. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. But Jonah's looking at these people like they don't deserve this. They're not good enough. They don't deserve my God. They don't deserve to be saved. They deserve destruction. I can't even say it right. That's what they have coming to them. That's what they need. You ever had those days where you're like, I wish I was God. I wish I could just thump a few people in the head and just get rid of some of these knuckleheads. Then I realized after that, I'm really glad I'm not God. Because I would have been one of those ones getting thumped in the head. That same grace that he showed me, he shows you. He shows each of us. He's calling to each of us, each and every one. Come to me. Come to me. Turn from your wicked ways. But he tells Jonah, go and proclaim a message. Proclaim a message that I show you, that I give you. So Jonah, it says in verse 3, Jonah obeyed the word of the Lord and went to Nineveh. Now, Nineveh was a very important city. A visit required 3 days, kind of like Disney World, from what I hear. I've never been, but I keep seeing all these pictures that Dodsons keep putting up there and making me covet. They're here somewhere. I know they are. Yeah, I see them hiding over there. They even had to bring up that they're fixing to go back to San Antonio just to rub it in. You know, I was like, oh, you people. A visit required 3 days. On the first day, Jonah gets there. Jonah started into the city. He proclaimed. Now, in proclaiming this, you got to remember, he's just getting there, and he's fixing to have to start speaking. A lot of times, we want to see God's plan in detail. Yeah, Amy's big on 5-year plans. I am not. I'm a 5-minute planner. It's like, you want to go to the movies? We got 10 minutes till it starts. Let's do it. She's like, well, we got to think about this. And I'm like, I'm impulse, man. Let's do this. And she's like, what, in 5 years? What's this going to do to us? And it's just a movie. But we want to do that with God. God's called us to go do something. He wants us to start and take the step. And we're like, but where's this going to get us, God? And he's saying, you just got to trust me. Take the step. Whenever you begin to open your mouth, the word says that he will fill it. That he's going to fill your mouth with the words you need to say. He's not asking you to set your stakes and plan everything out. All he's saying is just trust me. Trust me that when you get there, I'm going to give you the message. He gets there, and this is the message. 40 more days, and Nineveh will be overturned. Now that just makes me want to fall to my knees, doesn't it you? There's no repent. There's no, listen people, destruction's coming, please. No, all he says is 40 more days and it's over. Kind of like the Mayan calendar. The end is coming and everybody's freaking out about it. You know, God already said the end was coming. Why are we so worked up about it? You saw everybody and their dog, they find some ancient writing. Oh, this guy says the world's going to end today. You remember 1988? 88 reasons why Jesus could return in 1988. And I literally remember people coming, are you sure? I was in high school. I wasn't sure of anything. But all these people say, proclaiming the end is coming. And Jonah's he comes in proclaiming the end is coming. He's not even doing a good job. He's bringing one sentence. One sentence on one day, a city that takes 3 days to get through it, and he just shows up and starts walking through the streets and proclaiming. But I want to tell you, God can prepare a heart, can't he? God can show up. It's God that draws you in. It's God that softens you, because these hard, mean people, whenever they get one day of proclaiming this, and everybody starts falling on their face. The king makes a decree that everybody has to cover themselves in sackcloth and sit in ash, and nobody eats, not even an animal. Cover your livestock with sackcloth. Everybody will be humbled at this point, all in the hopes that destruction will not come. So all of these people, after one day of a guy walking around, I remember going to Bourbon Street one time. Hell on earth, I'm just going to tell you. I don't recommend a visit. It was not a good place to go. But we went there with some people that were taking us to go do street ministry. And man, I was in a hurry just to get out of that place. But when we get there, this guy's walking around and he's yelling, "We're all going to hell! We're all going to hell!" And he's angry. And I'm like, this is the guy we're with? It's like, this guy's nuts. That message ain't going to touch anybody. Unless your name's Jonah. Because Jonah did the exact same thing. He's walking around, the end's coming, 40 days, destruction. It's all over, 40 days, that's all you get. And everybody starts repenting. They're falling on their face. And the whole problem that Jonah has with this is he's a contemporary of a guy named Amos. Amos is another prophet who's still in Israel. Jonah's like, how come I can't just stay at home and do my job? I've been called over, to this other country where they're mean. But Amos is at home and he's preaching, he's prophesying, destruction's coming. And God will not relent. Destruction's coming, and you can't get out of it. So he knows this message that my people are about to be destroyed, and God's showing mercy to these people. These guys get mercy? These guys? So he goes back. After one day of preaching, the king of Nineveh. Let's pick it up in verse 7. Then he issued a proclamation in Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles. Do not let any man or beast, herd or flock, taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth. Let everyone call urgently on God. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence. And I like this statement of faith in verse 9. Who knows? God may yet relent and with compassion turn from his fierce anger so that we will not perish. The king issues a decree. Stop sinning. Stop doing the junk you're doing. Stop messing around with the people you're messing with. Turn from your wicked ways. Get away from the violent lifestyle. Let's change this thing. And he calls on the people, and they listen, and they begin to turn from it. They fall on their face. They're repenting. You know how easy it would be for these people to have said, I don't have sin. I don't have a problem. There's no hang up in my life. There's nothing wrong with the way I'm living. And they would be deceiving themselves. But so many of us, when God's calling us, he's saying, I've got something special for you. I've got a new life for you. I've got a better way. The hell that you're going through doesn't have to define you. I've got something better. You are great. Just turn. Turn from your wickedness. Let go of the life you're living. Come to me. I've got something better. And we have the choice to say, I'm okay. I don't need it. Or we can realize the end of the life that we're living. There's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end leads to death. If you're not following Jesus, the end will be death. Now, I'm not talking about death. Everybody dies. It's 100%. Nobody's going to live forever here. But the death he's talking about is the second death. The death that not just your physical body dies, but your spirit dies also. Where are you at? Why is it that God's church is full of so many people, just like the people in Israel who would not listen to the message? Those who should have heard it turned the deaf ear to it, and those that were just crazy, nut job, wacko people are hearing it. No offense if you heard it. Because some of us have just hit the bottom already. Some of us have already hit that bottom. We've already been through that grave. We've already made the decision to turn our life around, to follow. It's not that hard. What are you hanging on to in your life? What's holding you back from just saying yes to Him? What is it? Because I serve a God who won't give up. And He's calling to you. And He's telling you the path you're on leads to destruction. You may have more than 40 days. It may be 40 years. It doesn't matter how long. It's going to end, and it's going to end bad. He's calling out to you. And He's asking you to make that decision. Jonah, like many of us, decided they wanted to do it different. I'm going to live my life my way. I've already prayed the prayer. I'm a prophet. That's what Jonah had to stand on. A man of God. And yet he ran. How many of us are in the same situation? God's calling you to follow. God's calling you to come with Him, to let Him show you a better way, but we just don't want to. And then we get all bent out of shape when we see the young guys come in. When we see somebody come in and they're on fire for God, and God's turning their life upside down, and what's our stand? What do we do? I remember hearing a story of all this church, these young people getting all fired up. They're all excited. And this little old lady says, just give it time. In a couple weeks, they'll be just like me. And we think that that's the norm when it is so not. We make excuses as to why we're not excited about God, why we're not fired up, why we're not serving. Well, those people, all they want is a handout. You can't trust them. They're going to steal you blind. They're going to take everything you got. Is that the way God approached you? Is that what God said about you? That David guy, he's just not worth it. He's going to be nothing but a headache. He'll probably rob me blind. He'll take advantage of me. Because I got to tell you, I've taken advantage of him. There's been plenty of times I've walked all over the grace that he's given me like it was a carpet. Like it was nothing to me. But he's calling us to so much more. And he's declared over our life, even when we look like a wreck, when we're a mess, when we're all jacked up in the head and can't see straight, he still declares, there's something special about you. You are great in his eyes. Do you see that? You are great to him. He went to a cross 2,000 years ago to die for you because he thought you are something. And the devil wants to sit there and tell you you're nothing. The world around you is telling you you're nothing. You don't have what it takes. You're messed up. Your family line is full of addiction. Alcoholism, it's rampant in your bloodline, and you have this bent that if you take a drink, you're just hooked forever, and everything's coming against me. I can't get away from this. The world's heaping it on you. But God's telling you something different. You are great in his eyes. This great city of Nineveh, who takes my people and hangs them on stakes in the front yard, they're great because I'm going to do something. I'm going to speak. They're going to listen. God didn't just... He's not siding with what popular opinion is about your life. He's not looking at you and saying, man, I really wish I could take that one back. I really wish I wouldn't have messed with that guy. You know how many times this guy's failed me? You know how many times I've been grieved by this guy? He's not saying that. Because when he looks at you, he's seeing something special. He doesn't see you with all your hang-ups, all of your quirks, all of your addiction, all of your problem. He's looking at you and saying, there's something special. You're important to the kingdom. Because God doesn't just save you, to put a pretty dress on you and make you look pretty and make you happy. He saves you for a purpose. He's got a plan for your life. He's got something that he's saying, only you can accomplish this for me. He's got something that he knows you'd be great at this. So while we're sitting here beating ourselves over the head, trying to find self-worth, he's saying, don't listen to that enemy. Don't listen to that enemy that's telling you you're not good enough. Don't listen to that voice in your head that's saying, you don't have it. That I don't want you. Don't listen to that. Because you're great. You're great. It's not just the message we've got to get a hold of. It's a message we got to live with. That he's made you somebody in his kingdom. He's taken you from being nothing, from that miry clay, from that pit that you're in, and he wants to set you up on a rock. And he's going to tell the world, look what I can do. You're great. You're great. Even though you're messed up and all the stuff that you're in, you're still great. Because he sees the finished product. I've told you before, I got this vision of cars. I can see a rusted up bucket of bolts with a tree growing through it in a field, and I can say, man, did you see that? Did you see that old Chevelle with in that field right there? And people say, you mean the one with the tree growing through it? Yeah, that one. That would be sweet. Do you know what I could do with that? To which my wife would say, nothing. And I have to say, I rebuke you, devil. Come out of her. Because when I'm looking at that rusted out heap of junk to everybody else, I'm seeing, man, take that thing, slap some rims on it, paint it yellow. Yellow. I don't know. I like yellow for some reason. But I'm looking at it and I can see what it's going to look like. I can see, man, one day this car is going to be beautiful if God intervenes, because I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't fix a thing, but I could find people that could, I hope, and then trade them out for plumbing or something. So, yeah. But the point is, God sees the finished product. He knows when he's looking at you. I know there's a few dents and a few dings, and you're missing a bumper here, and you make a lot of noise when you're going down the road, and you're smoking like a freight train. But I can still do something with it. And whenever I get done, man, this thing, it's going to purr. It's going to be great. All those dents and dings, I'm going to work them out. I'm going to fill it in where it needs to be filled in, where rust has eaten away its life, where I'm going to take it and I'm going to make it new again. And that's what he's proclaiming over your life. You are great. And this isn't some Stuart Smalley thing, you know. You're looking in the mirror, gosh darn it, people like you. People probably don't like you. But God does, and that's all that matters. Amen? It don't matter what anybody's saying. He's declaring it over your life because he sees something special in you. So stop letting the enemy beat you up one side and down the other and telling you that he doesn't want you, because he does. And he wants to use you to do something great. So what is it? What is that area in your life that you're saying, I just can't see it yet? Yeah, God may be saying I'm great, but I still got this thing. I'm still struggling in this area. Well, man, pull yourself into his garage and let him start to work. Crack open that Bible, start reading his word, start getting that faith built within you, because faith only comes from one place. It comes from his word. You've got to get it in you. You've got to get into his presence. You've got to begin to speak to him and build that relationship. He's wanting to do something special with you. Let him. Let him. I know some of you are saying, well, you don't know what they said. You don't know what's happened to me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the abuse that I've faced. You don't know the things that I've done. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. He bought you with a tree growing through you. He bought you while you were broken. He bought you, and he knew exactly what he was getting. So to say, he doesn't want me, wrong. He wants you more than anybody you could ever imagine. You are so great to him. So maybe you need some healing in your life. Maybe there's something emotional. Maybe there's something spiritual that's going on. I ain't going to tell you that it all happens overnight. But with the continual washing of that word, with the continual input of his word into your life, he makes everything new. Will you let him work on you? Will you let him in? You say, well, I let him in a long time ago. But I just never surrendered. I never gave him control. Just try it. Just try it. K-Love has that, 30-day challenge? Just give God a 30-day challenge. Just say, I'm going to completely surrender to God's will for my life. And I promise you, after 30 days, you're going to know there's something different. Not just you are going to know something different. We're going to know there's something different. People are going to start looking at you and saying, man, what's happening in your life? What's this thing? What are you doing? Is that a new workout plan you got? Maybe you're on a new diet or something. No, it's just Jesus. It's just Jesus. Will you let him have his way in your life? Can I pray with you? Would you just bow your heads with me? God, we come before you today. God, we just bring you the broken, fragmented pieces of this life that we have. And God, we just give it all to you today. You see the despair that we're in. You see the problems that we've been facing, the life that we've lived, the hang-ups that we have. And God, we know that you can fix it, all of it, and you can make us new again. Take this thing that I'm struggling with, take this filth that I keep putting into my own life, and cleanse me. Make me new again. Heal me. He said, you're great. He said there's something special about you. Listen to him. I pray that all those voices in your head that are speaking destruction, that are speaking defeat over you, that they would be broken in the name of Jesus. Heal us, Lord. Heal us and make us great.